Okay, in today's episode, I'm going to be digging into VPNs or virtual private networks and how we use them to stop getting banned from Facebook and a little bit more besides. So, VPNs or virtual private networks, if you've no idea what one is, it's basically a app that either sits on your computer or in your browser, and it sort of tricks the internet into thinking you're somewhere you're not. And it also encrypts all the data that you send from your PC or from your phone or whatever. And this is really helpful for us entrepreneurs when we're trying to get other people to help us manage our social media profiles and also to log into other sites and apps as well. And the trick is, or why they're so useful, is that by masking where your virtual assistant may be, so whether they're in another town in your own home country, or in my case, they live on the other side of the world, it means that we can trick that person's computer or the internet into thinking that they're actually in the same place or the same city as I live. So I live in Sweden, I live in Stockholm, and therefore my staff in the Philippines can trick their computer into thinking they're actually also in Stockholm. Now, why this is important is because Facebook detects your IP address. So that's the label given to your connection, if you like, to the internet. And that label tells the internet or tells Facebook where you're situated, where in the world you are. So which route or whatever in the world that you are actually going through. And so what Facebook does is it flags up as a security alert. If you try and log in from two countries at the same time, or you logged in at, England today and then from the Philippines tomorrow or at the same day, it's going to think that's something a bit dodgy. It's going to think that maybe someone's hacking your account. And so quite rightly, it flags this up and locks your account. So you can actually basically get yourself, in inverted commas, banned from Facebook, or at least locked out from Facebook every single time someone tries to log in from another country, or at least quite regularly. Now, using a VPN or getting your staff to use a virtual private network gets around that, because Facebook doesn't know that or thinks, I should say, Facebook thinks that you're actually both in the same countries. That's the primary reason that we've started using them, or we've been using them for years now for doing this, because we kept on getting locked out and it's really frustrating. So the other uses for them are to keep your data more secure. So if you are working with people in countries where maybe the security policies, the governments or level security policies for internet aren't so great, then the virtual private network can add a layer of security. It can encrypt all of the information that's sent to and from someone's computer, and therefore it stops people being able to sort of look at that information as it's flying through the ether, so to speak, and be able to actually hack into your computer and maybe steal your passwords or get into your CRM or whatever. So it can be a really useful extra layer of security. And with GDPR and data protection becoming more and more of a thing, then actually thinking about this when, say, your staff are logging into areas where there's sensitive information stored. So it could be, like a CRM, so a customer relationship management tool, somewhere where you've got all your customer data. Maybe you've got credit card information. Maybe you've got, social security numbers or passport information, or depending on the nature of your business, you may have other sensitive information. Getting your staff to use a virtual private network when they're accessing those things can add a extra layer of protection for you. Now, I must say I'm in no way legally qualified to give advice about this stuff, so you do need to check out exactly what you're doing with regards to sharing sensitive information outside of your home country, and also about how you should be setting up your policies for people accessing that. I'm just giving you a tool to maybe help in that process. So please do your own legal work or your legal research on that. The other useful thing is if your staff ever need to use an internet cafe. So sometimes we work with people from the Philippines, and their home internet connection will just go down. For some reason, their internet service provider will just basically switch off their phone or switch off their internet or whatever. And it can be really frustrating. And so often these people go and work in internet cafes. Not often, sometimes they go and work in internet cafes. And I really don't think that's a great idea for lots of reasons. But if they have to do this, if it's an absolute must, they can't get on work any other way, then using a virtual private network while they're in the internet cafe. And I would strongly suggest you only do this or allow people to use internet cafes if they're using their own PCs, not logging in to someone else's PC, because that's a whole nother security issue. But just the fact you're actually connecting to a public Wi-Fi signal, or the internet signal, the Wi-Fi from that cafe, that's actually also a security issue. And so using a virtual private network can actually make that more secure. Again, you need to just check out things for yourself, but I'm giving you the best advice I can. And in some countries, I've been told that the internet service providers can actually snoop on your traffic and see what you're doing. And again, a virtual private network can help with that. Now, something that I've never been successful in doing, because I live in Sweden, so I quite like watching BBC, but unfortunately, you can't get BBC when you live abroad. I do pay my license fee in the UK because I've got an address over there, so I should be able to watch it, but I can't. And I have tried using a virtual private network to trick my my TV into thinking I live in Manchester, where I'm from, but it didn't seem to work. But lots of people seem to say you can do this. So I'm going to say give it a go. If you do live abroad and you want to watch, channels in a different country, then you give it a try and see if it works. But sadly, I've never quite been successful doing that. Now, the couple of apps that we've used in the past successfully are NordVPN and also TunnelBear. Now, TunnelBear is a free app. You get about, I think it's like 400 megabytes of data or something a month. I can't remember the details, but you can use it for free. You can test it out. And if you're just doing it for example, if you're just using it for your virtual assistants to log into Facebook for you, that's probably ample. You can probably get away with the free version. They also have paid team versions, all the rest of it, which I like. So my whole team can use it simultaneously. And this is an app that sits on your browser, and it basically just you click a button, it switches itself on, and you choose which country you want to tunnel to in their words, and then your IP address will then switch to being one from that local country, and so therefore you're basically tricking, as I say, the internet into thinking you're somewhere you're not. The other one is NordVPN, which is sort of one of the ones I looked at for the best or fastest VPNs in the world, and that came up trumps quite a few times. So just do a Google search for VPNs and find out which is the fastest one, because speed is an issue. But NordVPN is an app based on your computer, and it sort of sits there and you switch it on when you want to actually use the internet, and therefore it sort of masks all of your internet traffic, whatever browsers you're using, rather than being specific to a single browser like TunnelBear is. Now, I mentioned speed there, and that is probably the negative side. The only negative I can think of really with using a virtual private network is it does actually throttle the speed at which you can connect to the internet. So it's not great for, if you're dealing with big files or doing streaming or anything like that. So you do have to be conscious of that, and therefore we use them selectively for our staff, so it's not hindering their work. We just ask them to use them for doing specific things, like if they're having to log into one of my social media accounts, which could potentially throw up a security risk. So that's really the only downside to them that I can see. But they are incredibly good at reducing that security threat or that security issue and getting you locked out of your social media account. So that's it. Very short episode today. Just wanted to share a little bit of insight into how we use virtual private networks in our business. If you've never tried one, then give it a go for doing exactly what I said with regards to Facebook, if you have issues with that, or if you just want to basically increase your security. Thanks very much indeed. I'll see you next time.